Okay, magandang hapon po, magandang gabi po sa kanilang lahat at ngayon po ay nakikita ninyo ay ating pong special presentation ng ating ika-125 araw ng kasarinlan. Okay, mabuhay po ang Pilipinas. At papakita ko po sa inyo ngayon ang naging kaganapan po pag-celebrate ng 125th Independence Day kahapon po at noong linggo ng gabi at napakahaba po ng aming celebration dito sa Melbourne. Nako. Isang linggo po ito. Dalawa pa lang po yung natatapos namin sa 5 mga event na nakahilera po sa pagdiriwang ng 125 kaarawan o kaganap o kasarinlan ng araw ng kasarinlan ng Pilipinas. Ayan, so ipapakita ko po sa inyo ang highlight, yung mga pinaka-importante po na naging event po for this week para maumpisahan po ang ating pagdiriwang. So, standby lang po kayo dyan, ha? So, yung ating mga ka-YT chatters, kung hindi ko man po masagot ang inyong mga tusok at saka mga blogs ay pagpapaumanhin nyo lang po at talaga pong napaka-busy po ng ating araw sa ngayon. Ang importante po ay makita po ninyo kung paano nagdiriwang ang mga kabarangay natin dito sa Melbourne, Australia. At ito pong inyong chairman, Fred, medyo maginaw man po pero kailangan nating magbihis ng pambansang kasuutan ang ating barong Tagalog. Okay? Ayan. Mabuhay po tayong lahat ng mga Pilipino, nasa Pilipinas man o sa ibang bansa ay ating po ipagdiriwang ng sabay-sabay ang ating araw ng kasarinlan. Okay? So nung linggo po ay talaga pong tayo po ay inumpisahan po ang pagdiriwang nung linggo pa lang dahil yun lang po ang naging parang convenient na petsa at gabi kung saan po nagkakaroon ng pagdiriwang o pag-dinner dance. Yung nakikita po ninyo sa likod na litrato po, kuha po yan nung linggo ng gabi at mahigit kumulang 700 po ang dumalo sa pagsasaya at pagdiriwang ng ika-125 anibersaryo ng independence. Kita niyo naman. Okay, talaga pong bigay todo po lahat ng ating mga kabarangay dito sa Melbourne ang kanilang mga kasuutang pang Pilipinas. Dressed to impress po talaga. Okay. Okay, so talagang at dinaluhan naman po ng dinaluhan po ng marami ding mga punong bayan ng Victoria at ng Australia. Ito pong ating pagdiriwang sa katunayan po ang pangalawang pinuno ng estado ng Victoria ay dumalo po at siya po ang Minister for Multicultural Affairs. Yan po ang tinatawag na ministro na tumutulong po sa lahat ng mga iba't ibang mga komunidad dito po sa Victoria. Okay, at yan po si Minister MP Colin Brooks. At pakinggan po natin ang kanyang tagubilin at mensahe sa sambayanang sa kabarangay na Pilipino po dito sa Melbourne, Victoria.
The Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present and any First Nations people that are joining us tonight. I want to also acknowledge the Consul General for the Philippines here in Melbourne, Maria Lourdes Salcedo. Also the rest of the consular team who do a wonderful job here in Melbourne. My parliamentary colleagues, the Honourable John Pesciuto, the Leader of the Opposition, Samantha Ratnam, the Leader of the Greens, Matthew Hilikari, the member for Point Cook and a good friend of the Filipino community, local government councillors that are here, and it's great to see Abiola from the Victorian Multicultural Commission here as well. Good to see you. In particular, I wanted to acknowledge all of the wonderful representatives here tonight from the Filipino community organisations from right around Victoria, gathered here to celebrate this wonderful milestone tonight. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you all tonight, and in particular to be representing the Premier, Daniel Andrews, on this occasion. The Premier sends his very best wishes for this fantastic celebration here tonight. And tonight there really is much to celebrate. How the Philippines prevailed since those famous words were proudly proclaimed in the Pamadatan cave more than a century and a quarter ago. Viva la Independencia Filipina. Long live Philippine independence indeed. The theme of this year's Independence Day is freedom, future, history. The Philippines certainly has a proud history of struggle and resilience in its passionate desire for freedom and independence. And it looks to the future with optimism, one that is shared and enhanced with Australia through strong regional friendship. Both Australia and the Philippines have a pivotal role to play in maintaining peace and prosperity in our region. So while the Philippines looks to the future with confidence and pride, it does so wisely, grounded in the lessons of the past. And Australia has much to learn from the Philippines' centuries-long struggle for freedom. As we grapple with our own history of colonisation and look towards a shared and reconciled path forward with our Indigenous people, we can draw inspiration from the strength, courage and determination of Filipinos. This year in particular, as we consider constitutional recognition of our First Peoples, I'm heartened by the strong support from so many in multicultural communities who understand the importance of being heard and maintaining connection to culture. At this point, I want to acknowledge the Filipinos for the voice and their commitment to supporting the upcoming referendum for an Indigenous voice to Parliament enshrined in our Constitution. Victoria is now home to more than 95,000 Victorians, as the Consul General said, Victorians with Filipino ancestry. And between the census in 2011 and 2021, so just 10 years, the Filipino community here in Victoria has nearly doubled. This growing community makes an invaluable contribution to the economy, applying skills and hard work in a range of sectors. And Filipino community spirit shines through here in Victoria as well. The Philippine Fiesta of Victoria does great work in the community, and we were proud to support Fiesta this year with a grant for upgrade works at its community centre in Laverton. And then there's the Filipino Community Council of Victoria Incorporated, who partnered up to develop a suite of activities and strategies to prevent family violence. And again, I'm pleased our government supported them with some funding for that work in the past. Then there's Silent Witness Network, which also tackles family violence, and many, many more who work hard in our community to make Victoria an even better place. That's why, as Minister for Multicultural Affairs, I'm so proud of the Filipino community. And I know how important it is for us as a government to continue to support all of our diverse communities and to never take diversity for granted. I have to say that being Minister for Multicultural Affairs in a state like Victoria is an absolute privilege, because I get to work directly with so many of our wonderful multicultural communities. I'm constantly blown away by not only the resourcefulness and the resilience of these communities, but also their commitment to work to give back to our vibrant state, to celebrate and share culture and traditions. And no one does this better than the Filipino community. So in conclusion, on behalf of the Premier and the Victorian Government, I want to acknowledge the outstanding contribution of the Filipino community to our state and thank you for making this great state what it is today. I extend our best wishes to the community as it celebrates 125 years of independence for the Philippines. Thank you.
Yan, Minister Colin Brooks. At pagkatapos po niyan ay sinundan na po siya ng pagdiriwang ng mga demonstration of cultural dances natin sa tunay pong mga Pilipino. At sayaw po ng ating mga kabarangay at mga katutubo mula po sa Highland Mountain Province. Okay, at tignan po natin, napakagaling po itong mga ating mga dancers na ito at karamihan po dito ay mga ating po mga international students sa dito po sa Melbourne. Okay, so at tunghayan po natin ang kanilang presentation.
Next is the Chairman of Standing Committee on Economic.
Linggo po ng gabi ng ating pong pagdiriwang gala dinner ng ating pagdiriwang ng 125 araw ng kalayaan. Ayan, so yan po ang nag-kickstart yung gala night kung saan ay nagtipon-tipon po ang lahat ng mga kilalang mga miyembro o kasapi po ng Filipino community dito po sa Melbourne at Victoria. Ayan, so yan po yung mga pioneers kumbaga dito sa Melbourne, Australia. Iba po dyan ay mga 50 anyos na po na nakatira o naninirahan dito sa Melbourne, Australia. Mas matagal pa pong nanirahan dito sa Australia kay sa kanila pong ikinabuhay dyan sa Pilipinas. Okay, ayan. Hindi dapat palakpakan natin dapat. Yan sinatawag natin mga pioneers. Pagkatapos po naman nung presentation ng mga Cordillera dancers ay sinunod naman po sila ng mga batang mga dancers po natin dito sa Melbourne, yung mga break natin po, yung mga break dancers natin. Hindi na ata break dance ang tawag niyan, kundi talagang mabilis po ang tempo, pero naisama pa rin po nila ang Filipino flavor sa kanilang pagsasayaw. O kaya panoorin po natin ang Nocturnal Dance Company. Okay. Ayan po, sinanay po yan ng ating 3ZZZ convener o yung chairperson po na bumubuo ng programang Pilipino dito po sa pinakamalaking radio station sa Melbourne, Victoria po. Tita Liz Honey. Okay, kagaling talaga, ha. Hero nyo. Tayo po ay medyo hindi na nag-try do'n at baka mabalian pa ho tayo ng paa, ha. Mahirap ng ano, medyo bumabata ho tayo, eh, medyo malambot na po yung ating mga buto, ayan. Kaya mahirap ng, mag-risk, ayun, ayan, Kaya hanggang doon na lang po tayo sa, malapit po do'n sa pre-sampler ng San Miguel Beer. Naku, ayan, maraming salamat, San Miguel Corporation for giving us uh, samples of San Miguel Beer. Talagang parang nasa Pilipinas po. Ayan, isa po sa mga major sponsor natin yan, ang San Miguel Corporation, not to mention what do you call this, Western Union. Ayan. Ayan, binanggit ko Tita Lisa de Blasio. And of course, Victorian Container Terminal. Ako, isa pa rin yan. Philippine Airlines po, isa pa rin malaking donor po natin. Okay, ayan, tingnan po naman natin. Kinabukasan po, Lunes ng umaga ay nagpatuloy pa rin ang pagdiriwang. Pagka gabing-gabi na po natapos nung linggo, kinalunisan po ay nagdiwang naman po ng flag racing. Kaya yung iba po nating mga kabarangay, doon na po nag-book ng hotel sa city, sa Melbourne upang makarating po doon sa flag racing. Kasi po yung flag racing ay mag-uumpisa ng alas 9 ng umaga. Ayan. Kaya doon na po sila nag-book. Talagang gumastos po sila para lang makipagdiwang ng araw ng kalayaan natin mula sa sayawan sa gabi doon po sa pinakamalaking venue po dito sa Melbourne. Tumuloy po sila doon sa flag racing naman doon po sa Federation Square. Yan po isang pinakamalaking public square po dito sa kalagitnaan ng Melbourne's Central Business District. Ayan. Okay, pakita po natin ang mga kaganapan naman doon. Okay, lilipat lang po natin ang camera upang makita po ninyo ang naging kaganapan naman doon po sa Melbourne Federation Square. Ayan po. At ayan, kinalunis po ng umaga yan. At by the way, Lunes po dito sa Australia is a public holiday. Nationwide po yan. Yan po tinatawag nating King's Birthday. Ayan, King's birthday po yan. No? Although dati po yan, Queen's birthday. Pumano na po si Queen Elizabeth. Ngayon po, hari na ng United Kingdom is King. Kaya King's birthday na po ngayon. At tuloy po ang ligaya namin. Long weekend. Ayan, long weekend. Yan po ang kasarapan dito sa Australia. Kami po bantog po sa maraming long weekends. Ayan. Alright. Okay, so ito naman ngayon, susundan natin. At sinimulan nga po yan ang pagtataas ng bandila ng ating Pilipinas, wagayway upang makita po dito sa kalagitnaan ng Melbourne. Ayusin na po natin itong ating camera at medyo nakasemplang po ng konti. Ayan, okay. So ito po ang naging kaganapan ng araw ng umagang yun, ang pagtataas ng bandila at pag-awit ng pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
These are the members of Katipunan here in Melbourne, Australia. Ka Fred Weber, Ka Walter Villagonzala, and group.
And now for the highlights of this momentous day for our Philippine Independence Day for our Lupang Hilingan, which be led by Harmonico Filipino. Why? Ating pangawitin ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Bayang magiliw. Mabuhay! Mabuhay ang Pilipinas! Mabuhay ang kasarinlan! Mabuhay Filipino community in Melbourne, Australia!
Ating pong MC dyan ay isa po sa mga batikang community radio broadcaster dito sa Melbourne po. At si Kapinoy Arlan Pajardo from Tarlac. Ayan, kaya talagang hindi po nauubusan ng salita. Okay, ayan. Mabuhay ka, Arlan. Maraming salamat sa iyong pagtulong sa pagdiriwang. At sinundan po ng pambansang awit ay nagkaroon naman po ng panatang makabayan. Ito pinamunuan naman ng isa ring pinuno ng ating komunidad at pangulo po ng kababaihang Rizalista. Okay, alam niyo po yung Rizalista po, kababaihang Rizalista at saka Knights of Rizal ay malakas po at aktibo po dito sa Melbourne at nagsimula po kami na wala pa hong isang taon na nagsisimula po dito sa Melbourne, samantalang sa Sydney po ay mga 20 taon na po silang mayroong organisasyon doon, kaya medyo masigasig po ang ating mga pamunuan. Okay, tunghayan po natin ang panatang makabayan na pinamunuan naman ni Lady at Attorney Amy McLean.
Panatang Makabayan. It's been led by Miss Imelda McLean. Ready? Take it away.
Good morning. Please follow me. We'll be doing the pledge to our country. And Panatang Makabayan. Iniibig ko ang Pilipinas. Aking lupang sinilangan. Tahanan ng aking lahi. Kinukupok ako at tinutulungan maging malakas, masipag at marangal. Dahil mahal ko ang Pilipinas, diringgin ko ang payo ng aking magulang. Susundin ko ang tuntunin ng paaralan. Tutuparin ko ang tungkulin ng mamamayang makabayan. Naglilingkod, nag-aaral at nagdarasal ng buong katapatan, iaalay ko ang aking buhay, pangarap, pagsisikap sa bansang Pilipinas. Magandang umaga po.
Okay, yan so very dramatic po talaga ang panatang makabayan pinangunahan ni Attorney Amy McLean. So sinundan po naman yan ng awit ng Pilipinas Kung Mahal ng ating isa sa pinakasikat na pinakamasigasog at magaling po na aming choir po dito, ang Harmonico Filipino Choir. Okay, mabuhay po kayo. Okay. Sila po ang nanguna sa pag-awit.
Harmonico Filipino Choir. Sama-sama.
Okay, kaya at mabuhay kayo, Harmonico Filipino Choir. Okay, at ready. Ang ganda pa naman, ganda pa ng kanilang Filipiniana, black and red. Talagang angkop na angkop po sa pagdiriwang, black and red. Okay. Hindi palagay ko, hindi po malamig yan kasi makapal po ang black at red na kasuotan. At alam nyo, 9 degrees po ang temperatura ng umagang yun. Subalit dahil po sa pagmamahal sa bayan ay mainit po ang aming pakiramdam habang pinagdiriwang ang flag raising ceremony. At sinundan naman po yan ng mga messages at mga pananalinta ng ating mga bisita mula po sa pamahalaang estado ng Victoria at hindi lang po yan, meron din pong representative ang Commonwealth Government ng Australia sa ating pagdiriwang. Namumutik-tik po kami sa mga politicians, politiko at dito sa Australia. Marami din pong politiko dito. Subalit yun po ay dito po ang politiko po ay politiko rin. Ayun. Huwag na nating dagdagan na ipapasasabihin. Okay, and umpisahan po yan ni Dr. Daniel Molino. Siya pong Federal Member of Parliament at isa po siyang Committee on the Economics.
Next is the Chairman of Standing Committee on Economics, Federal Member of Australian Parliament. May I call our dear guest, Dr. Daniel Molino, Member of Parliament.
Thanks very much. Can I also acknowledge the traditional lands of the people on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. And can I say that it's wonderful to be here this morning with so many colours, amazing Philippine culture and music. It's just a shame we don't have Philippine weather, but 2 out of 3 is okay. Can I acknowledge the Consul General? Can I acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues and good friends? And can I also acknowledge all of the leaders from the Philippine community? Many from my electorate I see here, many from right around Melbourne and of course Victoria. And of course today represents, like so many events in our multicultural community, a day when I know that there's been so much work behind the scenes. So many of the peak bodies would have put in so much work to bring last night together by the sounds of it, but also this morning. So I do want to acknowledge all of the work that goes in through the Philippine community that does so much for our broader community. Now I have a brief message from the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, to help celebrate today. And I might say that if it's any consolation, when he would have written this message in Canberra, it would have been even colder than this morning, so there are some silver linings. But the Prime Minister says, I send my best wishes to the Australian Filipino community and to the people and government of the Philippines on the 125th anniversary of the Declaration of Philippine Independence. In marking this important milestone, we reflect on the journey the Philippines and its people have made to build their nation as it is today, a valued member of the community of nations and a key partner in our region and its architecture, notably ASEAN. Australia values highly the warm relationship between our nations, and I pay tribute to the Filipino migrant communities who are at the heart of the strong ties between our two nations. Filipino Australians have made a vital contribution to our growing and cooperative friendship and to the success of Australia as a multicultural and multi-faith country. Our two countries share many common bonds, our rich diversity of languages and faiths, a deep reverence for our histories and a real optimism for our futures. To everybody marking the 125th anniversary of the Declaration of Philippine Independence, I hope you enjoy your celebrations. The Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia. So I'll only add a couple of very brief comments on that, and I'll reiterate some of the comments earlier speakers have made in saying that our independence is actually very similar in many respects. There are many parallels between Australia and the Philippines. The dates of our independence are only a couple of years apart. As Mr. Lambert said, the original Declaration of Independence in the Philippines wasn't necessarily complete independence, but the same is really true in Australia. We formed as a federation on the 1st of January 1901, but the substantive independence in terms of our foreign policy and all aspects of government arguably didn't occur until some decades later. So there are indeed many similarities between the independence and the growth of national autonomy in our two countries. And similarly, we both had to seek independence, secure it from major global powers. In the case of Australia, from the UK, and amazingly in the case of the Philippines, from multiple global powers, as Trung Lu indicated. But since having obtained independence, we have both become multicultural, vibrant democracies that play a very positive role in our region and in the global community of countries. And as previous speakers have said, our two countries today have a very, very strong, prosperous, positive relationship where there's migration in both directions. For the Philippines, represents the 5th largest source of migration to Australia. Indeed, in my electorate, it's number 2. And it's an incredibly strong community in terms of what it contributes to our broader community. And indeed, I think Australia is the largest destination for international students coming from the Philippines. So the relationship is incredibly strong. And I'd also say that the Philippines is just about the oldest source of international connections with Australia. Going back to the 19th century and beyond, many people from the Philippines came to Australia to work, to set up new lives. The Manila men back in the 18th and 19th century in the pearling industry and others. And indeed there's a growing industry of research into the strong connections between the Manila men and our Indigenous community. So there are very, very long-standing connections between our two communities. And indeed, I think the diversity of the Indigenous communities in both our countries is another point of comparison. We both, as countries, have incredibly diverse, long-standing local populations. And that's something which I think is very relevant again in this year when Australia is going to be thinking so hard about how it deals with its Indigenous community. So I think that today is an amazing celebration. 125 years of independence puts the Philippines up there, puts the Philippines up there amongst the very oldest of countries that have fought off the shackles of imperialism. It's an amazing achievement. And as I said, it's an achievement that parallels so much of what we have achieved here in Australia, and that's why I think there is so much of an underlying relationship which we will continue to build on. So congratulations.
Okay, yan that's a member of Parliament, Australian Parliament, Dr. Daniel Molino. Medyo sumabit lang unang konti at Indonesia imbis na Philippines. Alright, di bale, kapitbahay naman, kamag-anak po naman natin ng Indonesia. Okay, sinundan po yan ay ang Shadow Minister naman po for Multicultural Affairs. Ibig po sabihin ng Shadow Minister ay yung pong kabilang partido na minority party na hindi po ang namamahala ng gobyerno. Subalit ano pa rin po sila, opposition na sa parliament pero sila nakaupo pero hindi po sila ang nag-govern o namamahala sa kasalukuyan estado ng Victoria at naghihintay lang po ng susunod na eleksyon upang maka-take over yan. Ganda lang po dito sa Australia. Dalawang partido lang halos ang naglalaban dito, nagpapalitan lang. Okay. Kaya po medyo mas exciting po yung ating politika diyan sa Pilipinas. Halo-halo, maraming partido po at nag-iiba ang partido tuwing eleksyon. Okay, dito po ang partido po steady lang po yan maski ilang eleksyon na po nakaraan. Mhm. Alright, so ngayon naman ay si Member of Parliament Mr. Trung Lu, Shadow Minister for Multicultural Affairs.
Now, next is, this is from Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Multicultural Affairs, no other than Mr. Trung Lu, a Member of Parliament.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm going to start to acknowledge the traditional custom of the land that we get today and pay respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. And also to acknowledge our Council General, Maria Dorsey Senator, our colleague Nathan Leppin, and our good friend from the West, Mr. Dr. Regina, Daniel Molina from the Face Up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to be here today. Great honour to be here, standing here. It's promote emotions and sense of pride and loyalty to one's country. This is the Philippines. And as I served 20 years in the military force, I understand what devotion is, and it's a great honour to be here as part of your celebrations. Filipino, as Nathan mentioned, it's one of the 5th largest migrations to Australia, and now it has like 4.1% of those from overseas in Australia. But what today we're looking at is today's independence of the Philippines. A day of honour, a day of joy, and a day of national pride and spirit. The Philippine flags are unfolded for the first time on this very day in 1898. And the Philippines have made great strides since then. Like your country, like Vietnam, I understand our nation has been occupied for many different nations. First the Spanish, Americans, and very briefly the Japanese. And set the Philippines stand true to our spirits. The colour itself, which standing here beneath us, we see, represents that. It depicts what the Philippine spirit's all about. Listen to the red, represents courage, the blue, peace, independence, freedom, and justice, and yet the white stand for equalities and liberties. So that represents what the Philippines is all about, and we understand here, when we're standing here, we know what national pride is all about. So let's focus on the students of today's day. Remember all those who sacrificed and made give us what the Independence Day is for us right now. Today we celebrate freedom and unity. I know there's always been strong ties between Australia and the Philippines, and will continue to do so. Let us work together and strive in harmony and peace for the future. I thank you again very much to celebrate the true spirit of integrity, sacrifice, liberty and independence today. I wish you all a very happy Independence Day. Let's hope we work together and can strive and work together and be a very peaceful harmony. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. For Multicultural Affairs to deliver his message. No other than MP Natam Lambert. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, and I'd like to begin by also acknowledging that we're meeting today on Wurundjeri country. I am the Member of Parliament for Preston Reservoir, that part of Melbourne. If any of you are from Preston Reservoir and you want to complain about the roads or anything, you can come up my way. But of course, my part of the world is also Wurundjeri country, and I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge our other guests here today, particularly Consul General Maria Lourdes Salcedo, Trung Lu, I should say, my colleague in the Victorian Parliament, and my very good friend, Dr. Daniel Molina, who is one of our fantastic Victorian representatives in our federal Parliament. I'm here today in my capacity as the Parliamentary Secretary for Multicultural Affairs. So here representing the Minister, Colin Brooks, who I think joined you had a very good night last night, not here this morning. And of course representing the Premier, Daniel Andrews, I know that if the Premier were here, he would want to have me speak just briefly to what a fantastic and strong multicultural city that we live in. It's a source of enormous pride to us as a government that we live in and are building one of the great multicultural cities in the world. About a third of Melburnians were born overseas in a country where English is not the dominant language, and once you count their children, 55%, more than 1 in 2 Melburnians has a background from a country where, as I say, English wasn't their dominant language. And that is something that I know the Premier believes makes us a fairer society, it makes us a stronger society, and it makes us a more prosperous society. And it's something we're very dedicated to continue to build. It's very important to this Labor government that we protect people from discrimination. It's important that we support our migrant communities, and very important that we celebrate and share our migrant culture. And of course today is a great chance to do that. I think I can only imagine that the members of the Melbourne Football Club team over there have enjoyed learning a little bit more about Filipino culture today, and as I do, and as I'm sure my parliamentary secretaries do. You know, we always have a little bit of work to do in the multicultural area just to educate people. Not through any malice, but often when people think about our fantastic multicultural city, they think of the Greeks and the Italians, the Chinese and the Vietnamese. You know, they're thinking about 20 years ago or so, and so we have a real job to remind people, as earlier speakers have alluded to, that the Filipino community is now, of course, the 5th largest and such a strong community, an important community for us. And of course, different in some ways, it's always changing migration, and we know that a very educated community, the Filipino community, very high levels of bachelor degrees and so forth, obviously very high English speaking levels, and so making such a great contribution. I think 95,000 strong Filipinos today, and I think we're all very excited just to see that. We're very excited to see that migration numbers after COVID and looking strong, and we look forward to the continuing contribution of the Filipino community. As a state government, I suppose when we think of the Philippines, we think of our Filipino Victorians who we work with every day. It's very exciting to me to see actually a few representatives from the Damine Association. There's Dorothy there and Teddy there from my part of the world. I often get along, as the consuls know, as Jen and Ralph know, I get along to some of their fantastic events. They normally make me sing or dance, and very luckily for everyone, that hasn't happened today. But of course today we think of Filipino Victorians, but of course we're here to celebrate the Philippines generally on this very important occasion of the 125th anniversary of those events on June 12, 1898. You'll be amused that the staff who prepared this speech for me.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Good morning to each and every one of us. I hope you had a good night following sleep, following our very successful event last night. I thank our special guest, MP Nathan Lambert, who's representing the Minister for Multicultural Affairs. We also have our MP, Mr. Chung Lu, from the Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Multicultural Affairs, as well as Dr. Daniel Molino, who is the Chair of Standing Committee on Economics, a federal member of the Australian Parliament. Thank you very much. Thank you to our Katipunan Australia, PMA Cavaliers. Thank you to our Harmonico Filipino Choir. I also wish to acknowledge that we are meeting in the traditional land of the traditional people of the Kulin Nation, the Wurundjeri, and pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. We know that they have a continuing link to land and community. I also acknowledge that many diverse peoples have come to this beautiful land to live, work, raise their families, and contribute their talents and skills to their adaptive community. I won't make my speech long, but because it's cold. But thank you all for coming. It's my honor and pleasure to read to you a small message from the President of the Philippines, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., on the occasion of the 125th anniversary of the Proclamation of Philippine Independence. So this is from Malacanang, Paras, 12 June 2023. And I read, on the occasion of our commemoration of the 125th anniversary of the Proclamation of Philippine Independence, we remember and pay tribute to our forebears who fought for our freedom so that we could live with the liberties that we enjoy today. Let this celebration inspire us all to become responsible and conscientious citizens who can make a difference in the lives of others and in their respective communities. On this day, let us also renew our commitment to our duty to protect the democratic ideals of our nation and preserve our way of life as Filipinos. Whether we are in the Philippines or anywhere else in the world, let us continue to unite and work hard to build a truly just, inclusive, and prosperous Philippines that all Filipinos deserve. Maligayang araw ng kalayaan at mabuhay ang lahing Pilipino.
Secretary Enrique Manalo, to be read by Consul Ralph Vincent Abarquez.
Honored guests, everyone here today, I'm honored to read the message of the Honorable Enrique A. Manalo, Secretary for Foreign Affairs, on the occasion of Kalayaan 2023, Kalayaan, Kinabukasan, Kasaysayan, 12 June 2023. On behalf of the women and men of the Department of Foreign Affairs, I join Filipinos worldwide in celebrating 125 years of Philippine independence and nationhood. Filipinos seek to elevate the vibrancy of the Philippines to unprecedented heights. The theme of Kalayaan 2023, Kalayaan, Kinabukasan, Kasaysayan, reminds us of how the hard-fought freedom by our forebears has not only shaped our nation's history, but also continues to shape its future. The significance of Kalayaan 2023's theme is magnified by the intertwining of our department's history with that of the Republic. As one of the first agencies established just 11 days after the Declaration of Philippine Independence, our work has remained constant and unwavering. Kalayaan is a core tenet of our mission, embodying the essence of an independent foreign policy and our unwavering commitment to advancing freedom. Kinabukasan symbolizes our unwavering dedication to building a prosperous, peaceful, and equitable future for every Filipino. Kasaysayan beckons us to look back to a time 125 years ago when our foremost diplomatic objective was to attain international recognition of the Philippines as the first Asian republic. Under the administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., it is clear that our objective is not merely to restore pre-pandemic circumstances, but to forge ahead and make our nation better prepared to confront the challenges and demands of the 21st century. We pay tribute to our rich and proud history by drawing wisdom from its lessons, guiding our steadfast commitment to an independent foreign policy that navigates the complexities of our time. As we celebrate Kalayaan 2023, let us look to the future while cherishing the exceptional qualities that our ancestors exemplified and that continue to define the Filipino spirit today: courage, resilience, compassion, and a deep love of country. To all Filipinos around the world, maligayang araw ng kasarinlan. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!
Her Excellency Maria Helen B. De La Vega, our ambassador, Philippine ambassador to Australia. All right. May I call Consul John Sherwin Wenceslao to read the message of Her Excellency Maria Helen de la Vega, our ambassador.
Good morning, friends, honored guests, fellow Filipinos. It is my privilege to read the message of our Honorable Ambassador, Maria Helen B. de la Vega, dated 12 June 2023 from Canberra. And I read, I join all our kababayan across Australia in celebrating the 125th anniversary of the Declaration of the Independence of the Philippines. We honor the sacrifices of past and modern-day heroes and commit to our country's security, success, and prosperity. The theme of this year's Independence Day is Kalayaan, Kinabukasan, Kasaysayan, or Freedom, Future, and History. The Philippines will observe a multi-year commemoration that highlights the birth of the country from the proclamation of independence on 12 June 1898 to the end of the first government with the capture of President Emilio Aguinaldo on 23 March 1901. This underscores our place in history as the earliest modern democracy and republic in Asia. As a people, Filipinos have always fought on the side of freedom and sovereignty, and we do so until today as we continue to stand for the rule of law, justice, and universal human rights. We must not lose sight of the democratic ideals and principles that inspired our forebears to step up and claim our destiny. As we move forward, we are bound by our collective aspiration of bringing about just and comfortable lives for future Filipinos. In 2022, the Philippine economy grew by 7.6%, outperforming our own target of 6.5 to 7.5%. The government believes that this high growth performance is projected to continue until 2028. I urge fellow Filipinos in Australia to continue supporting our country, invest in the opportunities that we offer, and promote our creativity and ingenuity. The Filipino-Australian community is an integral part of the historic and dynamic partnership of the Philippines and Australia. It is as the fifth largest migrant community at over 400,000 strong. You have reinforced the strength, diversity, and success of Australia. We take pride in your contributions, and we will continue to work with you in advancing our shared goals of expanding and deepening our bilateral cooperation, addressing current and emerging challenges, sustaining the fruits of our hard work and perseverance. Mabuhay ang pambansang kasanlibutan! Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!